Today we're working on section 4.3, Polynomial Division. I'm going to show you two different methods to divide polynomials. The first method is long division, and it's very similar to the long division that you learned in elementary school. First of all, with your problem, make sure that it's in descending order. So look at your exponents, make sure it's the highest exponent, and it goes in descending order. Same thing with the denominator. And then set it up. You want to make sure that you aren't missing any of the terms. For example, we've got an x cubed here. We want the x squared, the x, and the constant. We're not missing any in this first example, but I'll make sure to show you an example where we're missing a term so that you can see what to do. So we're going to just divide them. So x minus 3 being divided into x cubed minus 2x squared minus 5x plus 6. And you're just going to look at the first terms here and you ask yourself, what times x gives me x cubed? Well, x squared. I like to line everything up, so I'm going to line that up above the x squared term right here. And then multiply, so x squared times x is x cubed, like you said. X squared times negative 3 is negative 3x squared. And then what do you do at this point? You subtract. Well, the same thing as subtracting is adding the opposite signs. Okay, so I'm going to just change the signs here so that it's easier for me to work out, because then you're just adding down. Okay, so I get an x squared. And then these should have canceled. That was the whole point. Okay, and then bring the next term down. And then you'll do the same process again. Here's my first term now. First term right here. What times x gives me x squared? Well, x. Multiply it. X times x is x squared. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. Then I change the signs. And then I just add down. So I've got a negative 2x. And those canceled. We got to do it one more time. We have one more term. We'll bring down the term. Now this is my first term right here. What times x gives me negative 2x, negative 2, multiply it, negative 2 times x is negative 2x, negative 2 times negative 3 is a positive 6, change your signs, and they both end up canceling in this one. Well, that just means that our remainder is 0. If your remainder is 0, you don't have to write it in your answer. My answer is right up here on top. When I divided this polynomial into this polynomial, I got this for the answer. Okay? There are two different methods that I'm going to show you. So the other one is called synthetic division. You can only use synthetic division when your divisor, so look at your denominator, has a leading coefficient of 1 and a degree of 1. Okay, so make sure the degree is 1 and the leading coefficient is 1 before you use synthetic division. But in this case, we have a leading coefficient of 1 and our degree is 1, so we can use synthetic division. Let me show you how to set synthetic division up. So what you'll do is you'll make yourself a little box, and down here in the denominator you had x minus 3, so change the sign, you'll put a positive 3 in the box. Really, you're just setting the denominator equal to 0 and solving. You get 3. Okay, most people like to remember, just change the sign. And then we're going to write out all of the coefficients from the top right next to it. Okay, so again, make sure it's in descending order and make sure you're not missing any of the terms. But we already discussed that we weren't missing any of the terms in this one. So we'll just write down the coefficients. We've got a 1, a -2, a -5, and a 6. Okay, and then you start this one off by bringing down the first coefficient, and then you're going to multiply it times the number in the box. So 1 times 3 is 3, and then add your column. So I get 1. 1 times 3 is 3. Add your column, -2. -2 times 3 is -6. Add your column. Okay, and what you got here is the coefficients to your answer. Okay, and notice what you started off with here. You were taking an x cubed and dividing it by an x. That's going to reduce your exponent by 1. So you want to always start with 1 less degree than what your problem started with. So we had x cubed here. We're going to start with x squared. Okay, so this is the coefficient that goes in front of it. So 1x squared plus 1x minus 2. And then you could put the remainder on there, but again, the remainder is 0, so we don't need to put it. Of course, you don't have to write these ones, so let me just write it as x squared plus x minus 2. And that's what we got when we did long division as well. Okay, so I'm just showing you 2 different methods. You are allowed to pick whichever method you want. Of course, sometimes you have to use long division. If you had something other than a 1 for the leading coefficient or something other than 1 for the degree, you would need to set it up as a long division problem. Let me show you another one. I've got 3x cubed minus 7x plus 10 all over x minus 1. Okay, we can see right away that in this problem we are going to be allowed to use synthetic division. We've got a leading coefficient of 1 and we've got a degree of 1. But I do want to show you another example on long division, so I'm going to show you long division with this one as well. Okay, so I'm going to take x minus 1 divided into, okay, remember we need to look to see if we've got our exponents in descending order. We do. Are we missing any terms? Well, we've got the x cubed, but we don't have an x squared. We have an x and we have a constant. Anything that's missing, you're going to plug a 0 in. So we're going to put 3x cubed plus 0x squared to hold the spot of the missing term, minus 7x plus 10. Okay, and you might be missing more than one term. You plug a 0 in for any terms that are missing. All right, and we'll look at our first terms. What times x gives me 3x cubed, 3x squared, multiply it, 3x squared times x, 3x cubed, 3x squared times -1, -3x squared. Change your signs, and I get 3x squared here. Again, that cancels. Bring down the next term and do the process again. Okay, so here's my first term. What times x gives me 3x squared? a 3x, multiply it. 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times negative 1 is negative 3x. Change your signs, and I get a negative 4x here. Bring down that last term. One more time. So what times x gives me negative 4x? Negative 4. Multiply it. Negative 4 times x, negative 4x. Negative 4 times negative 1, a positive 4. Change the signs, and I get 6 for my remainder. Okay, well, when you get a remainder, what you can do with that remainder is add it to the end here. So you'll do plus 6 over whatever your divisor was. Okay, so this is my answer right here. Well, since we discussed that we can use synthetic division with this one, let's go ahead and do another example of synthetic division. So I'll make my little box, take the opposite sign down here, so I'll put a positive 1 in the box, and I'm going to put my coefficients from the top. Okay, so I've got a 3. We were missing the x squared, so we have to put a 0 to hold the spot. Whether you do long division or synthetic, you've got to mark any missing with a 0. Then we've got a negative 7 and a 10. Bring the first coefficient down. 3 times 1 is 3. Add these, so we get 3. 3 times 1 is 3. Add these, we get negative 4. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Add these, we get 6. Okay, and remember we're going to start with one less degree. So we had degree 3 in this problem. So we're going to start with degree 2. So we've got 3x squared plus 3x minus 4. And then we did have a remainder in this one, so we'll just put plus 6 over whatever your divisor was, x minus 1. And let's just compare. Good, we got the same answer. We should, right? Two different methods, same answer. Okay, so now try out the ones in your homework and let me know if you have any questions.